What's going on, dudes? Counting is back here again. So today we got another controversial figure, and that isn't Andrew Tate, man. This is Jordan Peterson's most savage comeback. So this is a new video, guys. Got like 12 million views. Pretty crazy. Now, a lot of people hate Jordan Peterson. A lot of people love him. I haven't really watched much of him. I don't really care for politics and all that kind of, you know what I mean, social stuff. Really, honestly, guys, I kind of stick to my own lane in terms of rap music. But you know what I mean, today this one should be fire. I saw a lot of other different reactors reacting to this as well. So yeah, it should be crazy, guys. He's very controversial, polarizing, like I said. So yeah, the first question here: how much responsibility do you feel for a particular to the alt-right? So she's basically accusing him of being alt-right. A lot of these different people. This is a GQ interview. I actually reacted to the GQ interview, I think, before on this one, but there's a lot of different segments taken out, so should be absolutely fire. So let's just get straight into it, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's go.
Do you feel that you have, particularly guys, the alt-right, who, as you say, some of them have enjoyed your work, and say,
no,
I'm not one of you guys. I'm not with you guys.
They haven't enjoyed my work.
I've definitely read bits on the internet.
Read more.
Do you think a trans woman is a real woman?
I don't really like the way those questions are formulated. You know, I don't know what that means. What do you mean, a real woman?
Well, I'm asking you, in your mind, you know, it depends what you think a real woman is, but do you think a trans woman is a woman?
No.
Why not?
Because I think that women are capable, generally speaking, of having babies, and they have female genitalia, and they have an XX chromosome, and I think the biological markers are relevant.
I'm interested in people being able to have different choices and having equality of outcome.
Aha, well, so the overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that, just out of curiosity? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male.
Beaten up.
And we've got about 3/4 of the population now in universities, in the humanities and social sciences, are female.
Yeah.
Are we going to equalize that? And men work longer hours. They work more dangerous jobs. They're more likely to move. They're more likely to work outside. They're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable. They make more money for those reasons. And that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis.
Why are you against the use of alternate pronouns?
I'm against the use of legislation to determine what words are that myself and other people are required to utter.
But would you use alternate pronouns if a student asked you to?
I think I've made my position on that clear already.
Well, perhaps not to our audience at home who are just being introduced to this. Would you use alternate pronouns? And why not?
Because I don't believe that other people have the right to determine what language I use, especially when it's backed by punitive legislation. And when the words that are being required are the constructions, they're artificial constructions of people I regard as radical ideologues whose viewpoint I do not share.
Until women got full legal rights, they could own property.
This is just train wreck. Everyone that is asking these questions is just getting so offended by everything. This is his most savage comebacks. This is pretty brutal.
Property for themselves, they could work. Essentially, they were owned. They were first owned by their fathers and then by their husbands.
Status to the domination by men.
Yeah.
You already said that you thought that what emancipated women primarily in the 20th century was technological revolution.
No, not primarily, but that's one of two. I think that's two things.
It's not primarily, eh?
No,
I don't think the pill was a primary force in the emancipation of women.
I think
or the invention of tampons, let's say, or the provision of proper sanitary facilities, toilets, and that sort of thing. You're thinking instead it was the action of courageous feminists in the 1920s that produced a social revolution that overthrew the patriarchy. That's your theory.
Yeah, I think
that's a foolish theory.
I don't know why people get so worked up about stuff. Like, I literally, guys, if you guys like live on the internet like I basically do now, which is crazy to think, but I think that's basically much what's going to happen to 99% of people. You're going to have to eventually switch to the internet, right? Just living on it, at least for your regular 9-to-5 job. But when you're getting like worked up about this kind of stuff, it just does not matter. I just let people talk whatever they want, do whatever they want, because really, even if it's crazy, because really, and you don't agree with it, what I mean by that is, because really, like, it just doesn't affect me. I just wouldn't even care. I'm like, oh, this guy's talking his point, these people are talking their point. Let them just have a discussion and just get on with it. There's no real. They get so worked up like they're gonna start fighting or something when it just really just isn't anything to fight over, guys. You know, it's just like it's not that big of a deal. I guess like the topics that they're talking about is definitely to some people very emotionally triggering, and you know, very specific to them, the transgender thing, stuff like that. So I guess people would want to fight over that, I guess. But you know, I just wouldn't really care too much about it. But anyway, that's just me, guys. Everyone's gonna hate on that, but
that's pure narcissism at work, by the way.
pure narcissism.
You know, to hijack an event like this that other people put time and effort into, and to use their civility of the crowd and the civility of the organizers as an excuse to blatantly yell out your ill-informed opinions is no way to conduct a civil dialogue. It's absolutely appalling. The people who do that should be embarrassed.
My idea of the patriarchy is a system of male dominance of society.
Yeah, but that's not my sense of the patriarchy.
So what's yours?
Well, in what sense is our society male-dominated?
The fact that the vast majority of wealth is owned by men, the vast majority of capital is owned by men. Women do more unpaid labour.
A very tiny proportion of men, and a huge proportion of people who are seriously disaffected are men. Most people in prison are men. Most people who are on the street are men. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who commit suicide are men. Most people who die in wars are men. People who do worse in school are men. It's like, where's the dominance here precisely? What you're doing is you're taking a tiny substrata of hyper-successful men and using that to represent the entire structure of Western society. There's nothing about that that's vaguely appropriate.
But I could say equally well that most rape victims are women. You know, terrible things happen to people of both sexes.
And you could say that with perfect utility, but that doesn't provide any evidence for the existence of a male-dominated patriarchy.
I would say that anybody with more than a cursory knowledge of 20th century history who dares to claim simultaneously that they have compassion for the downtrodden and that they're Marxists are revealing either an ignorance of history that's so astounding that it's actually a form of miracle, or a kind of malevolence that's so reprehensible that it's almost unspeakable. Because we already ran the equity experiment over the course of the 20th century, and we already know what the Marxist doctrines have done for oppressed people all around the world, and the answer to that mostly was imprison them, enslave them, work them to death, or execute them. And as far as I can tell, that's not precisely commensurate with any message of compassion. Sorry, tried that, didn't work. We got 100 million corpses to prove it, and that's plenty for me. And if it's not enough for you, well then you should do some serious thinking either about your historical knowledge or about your moral character.
Question.
Damn. That nail in the coffin for Marxism.
For Professor Peterson, why do you feel that someone's personal gender identity and pronouns infringes your free speech? Can one not also argue, based on your interpretation, that professors can use racial slurs in their classroom and that the inability to do so would violate their freedom of speech?
There's a difference between saying that there's something you can't say and saying that there are things that you have to say. And I regard these made-up pronouns, all of them, as the neologisms of radical PC authoritarians. Do you understand that? And I'm not a fan of that sort of person. And the reason I'm not a fan of that sort of person is because I've done my homework. I've read everything I can get my hands on in the development of authoritarian political systems, and I know the literature inside out and backwards. And I am not going to be a mouthpiece for language that I detest.
Damn, bro, this guy's fired up, bro. Oh my God.
And that's that.
Jesus.
This whole patriarchy thing, I think you have no...
He got fired from like a load of jobs. He worked at Harvard. He got fired from a bunch of different lecture jobs because of his opinions, you know?
No idea how pernicious and dangerous it is.
Well, no, I don't. I really don't. Go on.
Throughout history have fundamentally cooperated to push back against the absolute catastrophe of existence. a terrible death rate, the probability of chronic starvation, early death, disease, the difficulty of raising children, with all the death that was associated with that, and to look backwards in time and say, well, basically what happened was men took the upper hand and persecuted women in this tyrannical patriarchies. It's absolutely dreadful misreading of history. It's a terrible thing to teach young women, and it's a horrible thing to inflict upon men.
When the Marx...
He has a better tan than her, though. In the GQ interview, that's about it, guys. That's as much as I'll say. Definitely more tan. This lady needs to get out more, for sure. She looks like a fucking ghost. She looks like a ghost in the wind by... She needs to get out more, for sure.
Upon men.
When the Marxists say, well, that wasn't real Marxism, what it really means, and I've thought about this for a long time, it's the most arrogant possible statement anyone could ever make. It means, if I would have been in Stalin's position, I would have ushered in the damn utopia instead of the genocidal massacres, because I understand the doctrine of Marxism and everything about me is good. It's like, well, think again, sunshine. You don't understand it. You don't
Bro, he sounds like he's always going to cry, though. I mean, he's trying to get his point across. Some of the points he's making, guys, are very, you know what I mean? Very, are, you know, controversial. But some of the stuff he's saying about the, let me make this specifically clear, about the not using the words and stuff like that. If he doesn't want to use the word, you know, I don't think he should use the word. Same way he shouldn't be using racial words. Like obviously, guys, you shouldn't be saying these words. People that are like, no, I want to use these words, racial slur, or I want to do these things. It's just like, bro, like, you have to deal with the consequences of using those words. You know what I mean? It's just like, or not using those words. You know what I mean? So whatever that means socially, you know, should there be bans on them? That's up, I guess, for people to decide. Like, I don't really. You know, I don't really know, guys. That's just up for the people to decide, right?
Understand it, and you're not that good. And if the power was in your hands, assuming you had the competence, which you don't, you wouldn't have done any better. And even if you had, there would have been someone else waiting right behind you to shoot you the first time you actually tried to do anything good. And that's what happened to all the old guard who ran the damn revolution. Stalin rounded them all up and shot them, along with their families and millions of other people.
Jesus.
So even if you do happen to be that avatar of moral purity that you claim implicitly, the probability that you'd get to act out your goodness in relationship to those possessed by your ideology is zero.
Is being sensitive to offence such a problem, though? Like, we would have previously called that manners.
It's a terrible problem. So imagine you, okay, so the rule is you can't offend anyone, all right? Let's say you're speaking to one person, I can't offend you. All right, fair enough. What if I'm speaking to 10 people? Do I get to offend 1 in 10? How about 1 in 100? How about 1 in 1,000? You're going to come out on stage and you're going to say something important about something vital, and you're not going to offend 1 person in 1,000? Well, you can't say anything about anything important ever without offending probably the person you're talking to. Important speech about important issues, especially contentious issues, is instantly offensive.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that last one, guys, because nowadays, as Dave Chappelle has said, everyone has just turned into bitch-ass pussies. Like, legit, you can't even say shit without people just getting their fucking knickers in a twist. I'm talking about men and women, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough to, like, please absolutely everybody. You know, we've heard YouTube is dead. Nah, YouTube is still going. YouTube is actually growing like crazy, so that's a cap. Jay, guys, it's impossible to please everyone. You know what I mean? If you're trying to please everyone, you're gonna fail, and you're gonna be waiting until you're dead, because it's impossible to not offend everyone. Obviously, guys, I wouldn't be using racial slurs. I wouldn't be doing these things to blatantly offend people. If some transgender person asked me, hey, would you call me by this? I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll call you, whatever. To a point, guys. If they're like, hey, you gotta refer to me as an Apache helicopter, I'm gonna be like, bruh, you know what I mean? You gotta refer to me as the freaking almighty freaking, you know what I mean? You gotta refer to me as freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger then if we're gonna be talking, you know what I mean? It'll just come to some crazy illogical kind of conclusion. But for the rest of it, yeah, guys, I want to know what you guys think, man. Leave in the comments down below. Do you guys think his stuff is crazy? Do you guys think it's good? You know, I'll do another response video to the comments if you guys respond, because the videos on these videos always get crazy reviews and reactions. Like, people get fired up, guys, for real. So, yeah, Jordan Peterson, guys, is he very controversial? or is he outdated? I actually saw a Twitter post. This chick was like, or someone was like, if your boyfriend in Ireland, if he buys tickets to a Jordan Peterson thing, then make sure to break up with him, along with Andrew Tate and all these other people. I'm like, here. I'm like, dude, check it out. It really doesn't matter that much, guys. You know what I mean? Nothing Jordan Peterson says is going to really make a revolutionary change. He's not a revolutionarist like that, guys. Everyone think that because they're online, because they're on the internet, they're making huge progress. Like, I have 18,000 subscribers. Bro, that's not even going to make that huge of a difference. People think that you have this almighty pull, like you're this famous person. Bro, it's completely capped, guys. He has, like, what, 5 million subscribers? That's still not crazy pull. You need, like, 50 million subscribers to get, like, a world kind of pull, you know? Even then, you know, subscribers online doesn't equal to in person, guys. Having 500 people online follow you is much more effective than having 1 million people in person. But anyway, guys, I digress. I absolutely love you guys, man. Like I said, leave in the comments down below what you guys think about this. And I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Peace.